You really want to know how to make the most amount of money while you're in the military? Get married. But I would never advise that to anybody because it's not worth it in the end for what you could lose potentially at the end of the rainbow, as people are giving up so many thousands of dollars every single year to their spouses after 20 years of retirement. But according to military.com, there's an ex-airman which asked 93 women to marry him to get more benefits. Does this sound old-timey? Get married, that way you can get the benefits, right? That is how the military has played this game, but I'll get to that after you talk about this specific case, because this one gets pretty crazy. Demontre Green, who served in the Air Force from December 2011 to May 2022 and resides in Houston, was divorced from his wife in March 2017, according to documents filed in the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of Texas last week. A month after his divorce, around 2017 of April, Green sent messages to at least 93 women via text message and mobile application soliciting marriage in exchange for payment, according to federal documents. This should be the first red flag to any woman out there. If any military man is sitting there asking you to get married for any reason, for any dollar amount, for any purpose besides actually loving you and wanting to have a life with you, I'd say red flags should be sent your way, like just blasting you in the face at this point. At the time, Green was a staff sergeant stationed at Royal Air Force Lakenheath in the United Kingdom as a member of the 48th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron. Green's basic allowance for housing, or BAH, was calculated on him being stationed overseas, with the rate taking into account his spouse's location as well. However, he would lose out on certain benefits following his divorce, federal documents state. So they use basic allowance for housing, BAH, here, but it's actually OHA, Overseas Housing Allowance, which is met at a certain amount while you're overseas, while you would be able to get per rank a certain amount. This guy was going to be able to live in United Kingdom even with that because it would be based off his rank. What they're saying here is that essentially that the spouse was living somewhere in the United States where he lived in the UK, and he was getting some kind of money for her while she was there, probably not paying her the total amount of housing allowance, and by divorcing her, he was not going to get those amount of money anymore because he was no longer going to be married to somebody that was over there. By the way, he would have been making a ton of money overseas anyway because there's cost of living allowance plus utilities allowance when you live off base. So this guy probably was just super money hungry. Federal officials included one alleged exchange between Green and an unnamed person on or about April 24th, 2017 in the documents. "Hello, I have an offer if you're interested, where I'd be paying you every month, similar to me being your sugar daddy. However, no S is involved." The documents detail Green is writing. He went on to lay out specifically what the arrangement would be, the documents state. "By the way, I find you to be extremely gorgeous," court documents accuse Green of writing. "So basically, I would get paid extra money from my job by having a spouse/dependent, which in return I'd be paying you $500 every month for the next 4 years, or however long we agree if you're interested. And no, I'm not expecting you to live with me or do any favors, just a title as wife." The unnamed person declined the offer, asking instead for $2,000 each month to marry Green. This person is smart because if you look anywhere else inside the U.S., you're not going to find anybody finding a place to live for $500. Like, if she's going to put her name on a document and not be married or not able to do that, you're looking at this person is probably going to look up the basic allowance for housing and be like, "You're making like $3,000. I want at least half of that." It says, but he ended up marrying another person not named in the court documents on or about 25th of April 2017 who resided in Texas. Federal officials accused Green of signing an affidavit of absent applicant for marriage license from online, inputting his spouse's name and saying she lived in Abilene, Texas. But officials allege that on or around June 16, 2017, Green filed and signed separate military documents claiming he was entitled to an overseas housing allowance for a dependent residing somewhere other than Texas. He specified the location of his dependent as California 94106 area code. The court documents state the federal authorities said in the court filings that the zip code was bogus. The old looky-loo there, they're living over there, but realistically, they're living over there. This is the tale as old as time. If you've been in the military longer than breakfast, you probably have met somebody that has done this, which is insane. And to let you guys know the difference between this bogus area code of California, San Francisco area, and Texas, where Abilene, where she's at, is actually drastically different. Between 2017 and 2020, BH in Abilene ranged from $1,044 to $1,167 a month. In San Francisco, it ranged from $4,032 to $4,614 monthly. And what officials are saying from this military.com article here is that he has been committing fraud for $112,000 over the course of this time that he had done this. Now, as many of you guys are thinking, what is going to happen to somebody that can't pay this? I don't know, but they're probably going to say he needs to pay it because I've actually known several people that have done this where they'll say someone lives in San Francisco, someone lives in New York. People will actually go out. I don't know if it's NCIS or whoever is actually investigating these things, and they will actually make sure that the person that is at that residence will be on some kind of lease or something like that, because these people that do this think they are the only person that's ever thought of doing this. How many people are actually living in New York City or San Francisco? There's not that many people in the military. It's easy to investigate this stuff, and there's an address on file. So they could do a little investigation and just check records of if you actually live there. This is the only system where in the world that I can ever consider, that I could ever think of, that you get paid more because you are married to somebody. And I'm like, this is a cultural thing that really has changed with the military. It's very outdated. It's very old fashioned. And I would say on top of that, it would also be a great idea to actually increase the quality of living for people that are not married and not making this such like a negative thing that you get to have no life and you get to live on base every single day of your life. Some kind of fair medium that is there. And I have to say, even though he's in the Air Force, it's nuts how much money people can make off of something like this. And this is like I've actually known 3 or 4 cases in my own personal anecdotal experience that this has been an issue. And there are people that have some comments about this situation that I find to be very interesting because they make valid points. Scottyland22 says, oh no, $112,000? That's just like the hundreds of millions stolen by corrupt government officials. String this man up at once. By the way, this is a drop in the bucket, this right here, compared to some other spending that we've seen in the military. Let's be honest, if you've been in, you understand what I'm saying. Roll doesn't take pics says, I mean, it can't be any worse than marrying a stripper or some girl from your town that was ran through by everybody. LOL. He's not wrong. This is at least a little bit more class. He's probably filtering out people, taking applications, and making sure that they meet the criteria of don't snitch, don't call my command, don't snitch, don't call the command. Because literally, if he pissed off any of these women, 93 that he asked, and they didn't get paid, or he pissed them off for whatever reason, guess what? They could go to the command and be like, this guy's been lying. This is a fraud. So I don't know how they found this out, but I will say also they do check these things like I've stated previously. FT Brain says, I can marry anyone I want for whatever reason I want. The requirement for BAH isn't love or even marriage. If dependent, then BAH. Which has gone down the pipe hole of people saying, like, why not just marry your best buddy friend if that's the case? I can tell you from anecdotal evidence from my personal life, I've seen that the commanding officer typically wants to see same gendered people, and see if this is legitimate or not. I don't know if they have any power over that, but that's just my thought process. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that there is a fundamental flaw in the system of this idea that people need to be married to get some kind of money or whatever else? And what is your craziest story of someone doing something like this? Because this is around the ballpark figure I've seen previously with one of my other people I've known before. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, because that's where the discussion continues. As always, hit me up over on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, or down in the comments below if you guys like stories like this, and I will hit you up next time. All right, I love you guys. See you later.